Hi, and welcome to my review of Loser Coin. If you don't know already, I'm Wispy, and this is Webtoons Review. I'm on a mission to review all the Webtoons on my list. So this opens on the main character and his best friend about to unalive themselves because they borrowed money from loan sharks that they can't pay back. And the loan sharks are probably gonna kill them as well if they can't do this and like sell their organs like in Squid Game. So Uijin explains that he was abandoned at birth by his parents and he dipped on his pregnant girlfriend. He feels that he's abandoning his future child as well. But at least he gave them money. They complain about capitalism, and then Uijin tells his friend to invest the remaining money into Loser Coin, which is a joke crypto obviously based on Doge. All of a sudden, though, his friend no longer wants to unalive himself, and that's because the coin started mooning, and this fuck really decided he's gonna let the friend kill himself so he can keep the money for himself. This obviously pisses the main character off, who overpowers the friend in a fight. Both of them try to kill each other, but ultimately he can't do it. While they're fighting, though, the coin keeps going up, so by that time there's definitely enough for both of them to pay the debt off and live comfortably. So he says he'll give his friend a third of the money if he acts cool with the hotel that they're staying at. Unfortunately, this does not work because the hotel hears the ruckus, but the friend plays it off as BDSM. Uijin thinks it's fine and goes to see his pregnant girlfriend, who in fact was not pregnant. He gets NTR'd and beaten up by Chad. He returns home only to find his friend doxed him by posting him on Reddit with his earnings and address. He tries to say it was all a mistake, but ends up running into the hottest man in the world, and apparently the only person here with morals. They end up striking a deal where he becomes the main character's bodyguard because apparently this guy doesn't want handouts, and he beats everyone up. And Uijin gets him to jump the cheaters. Unsurprisingly, I would probably do that too. Though he decides to be the one to beat up the girl, and once again, he can't do it. They go drink at the bar while Uijin laments that he feels left out by society, from his parents to military service and to some third thing. And then one of the funniest fucking sequences that I've ever read in a webtoon occur. These two girls come up to them, they're like coming on to them and stuff, and it turns out they're only talking to the hot guy. Honestly, same. Uijin watches them with jealousy and tries to impress them by drinking something, and it instantly gives them the ick. The bodyguard tells the girls that Uijin is his boss and bought the drinks, and the girls are still so unimpressed. They tell him he's dry and doesn't seem like he's dated any girls before, which sets him off. The expressions here are so good. And then the girls like side-eye each other, and the bodyguard is just losing it. So I think this is good because most webtoons would probably just be like, oh, these girls are gold diggers, and when the reveal of Uijin being the boss happens, they would just have the girls fall all over the protagonist, but that's not what happens here. More realistically, I assume, they still go for the hot guy and they still think that Uijin is a loser. So despite the money that he's earned, it does not change the fact that he is still overlooked by society. And the comic keeps hammering this in. Later, he and Gangmuk buy an expensive car, they go clubbing, but despite spending money, Uijin feels alone. He people watches and misses his old girlfriend and his best friend. Gangmuk says this expensive lifestyle doesn't suit them anyway, so they have fun allegedly the way poor people do, which is by karaoke and gaming. During gaming, however, Uijin gets a notification that the coin value has gone down by half, so he shuts himself in the bathroom, wondering if he should sell or hold. And of course, all of a sudden, he's worried that his bodyguard is going to abandon him. Said bodyguard chases him and acts like a dick. Maybe he wasn't the only good person in this webtoon. Maybe there are no good people in this webtoon. The main character leaves and gets kidnapped by his bestie. Luckily, Gangmok comes to the rescue, beats them all up, but he quits the bodyguard gig because he doesn't want to deal with gangsters. He thinks that's way too deep in, which is fair. He's like, why don't you just go to the police? And then Uijin is like, oh, I can't do that because I tried to do this as a child when my parents were abusing me and it doesn't work. Which is true, by the way. CPS is so ineffective. And then we get Gangmuk's backstory. Gangmuk became the bodyguard of a corrupt senator to help his parents off their feet. And his dad told him, you can't put a value on your life. And the dad is concerned that Gangmuk is not doing the right thing in order to make money, which is kind of true, but he gets instant karma because one of the things that they're doing for the senator is displacing people from homes. And one of the daughters of a family that got displaced ends up killing his parents and putting his sister into a coma. I guess Uijin tells Gangmuk the same thing, so Gangmuk suddenly decides it's Zero and decides to help him. Gangmuk's logic here does not make that much sense to me, but I guess they do need like the one good person helping the main character in this webtoon. So to start, the two of them visit the bestie's mom, who apparently Bestie just forgot about. Unacceptable. I guess the only other option is that he's where the loan sharks are. Gangmuk beats up everybody at the loan shark spot, and sure enough, they have him. One thing I found fun is that he sizes up the leader in this action scene just from a few swings, and then assigns him a price that Uijin will pay him for beating him up. You don't know how to use a knife. Shall I teach you? That's really hot. He could teach me. But yeah, they make the best friend give back all the money. And Uijin finally sells. He finally exits. It only took 22 chapters. We're only halfway through, and it seems like all the problems have been solved. So what's next? Marriage between the two main characters, apparently. Just kidding. Uijin pays off the sister's hospital treatment in full. And apparently the next problem is Uijin's mom. So she's been MIA since she abandoned him at birth. Just kidding. At like young childhood. And they had an interesting conversation where Uijin was hated for being born, but he didn't choose to be born, right? Like, that's your parents' decision. And his mom volunteers that he be hit by the dad instead of her. She apologizes for this and takes him to a park, saying they'll run away from his dad and never go back. Kind of reminds me of someone, except Uijin does not go around stalking and killing women. Gangmuk brings Uijin's mom to see him without warning, which makes Uijin understandably upset. And then we see her later creepily watching them. At least, I assume it's implied that it's her. However, I'm not sure if they're setting her up to be a bad character here, or at least none of the women so far have been good, save for Bestie's mom and Gangmuk's dying sister. Oh, okay, it looks like they're addressing this from the jump. Some more gold diggers come in, but this time, Uijin tells them to fuck off, and I shit you not. She waits for him to go to the bathroom and pretends that he hit her. That's how you know this webtoon is really Sigma, because false allegations such as this rarely happen in real life. Anyway, some simp jumps to her defense, as you would expect from a Sigma webtoon, but even more surprisingly, these two random girls were recording the whole thing, and they're also drawn much cuter, so maybe endgame love interests. So that resolves that whole fiasco. Uijin and Gangmuk go to eat soup, and the girls are also there. So now I don't know if this is legit or they're even worse stalkers of some sort. Notably, she offers to pay, and Uijin falls in love, while Gangmuk is still sus. They all go on a double date of sorts. Endgame love interest, let's go. Hyunju, the girl, asks for them to split up partway through so she and Uijin can have one-on-one time. Uijin gives Gangmuk his card so they can, quote, have fun and leave him alone. Hyunju apparently asks him to date. Meanwhile, Gangmuk fucking smashes. And it's revealed from her friend that she doesn't understand her motives, as Hyunju is a bit weird and has never been interested in any guys before. And also the friend is apparently loud in bed. Gangmuk continues to tell Uijin he's cringe, but Uijin is like, trust, I got this, I was just joking, but I'm lonely, and if it doesn't work out, you can always just break up. Oh boy, I used to think that too. Like, that fearing commitment is stupid because you can always just break up, or you can always just divorce. But once you become actually attached, it's a lot harder to do that. Anyway, I digress. Uijin starts going on dates with this girl, but never sleeping over because he has trust issues now, and they run into his mom at her restaurant. The confrontation with Uijin's mom does not go well, but his mom has a restaurant now, and she gives them her card. Hyunju opens up about why she likes Uijin. She also had an absent parent because her mom died during childbirth, and her dad was basically like emotionally absent during her childhood because of this, and she eventually cuts him off. But she was never able to stop thinking about it until reconnecting with him as a young adult, and he says she looks like her mom now. Oh no. Anyway, thank God, she cuts off that creepy situation and now has the closure and just wants to move on and live a happy life. Uijin is inspired by this and decides to hear his mom out. I'm not sure why this would inspire him, because she basically said, oh yeah, the the tainted image of my dad as a bad parent is now even more tainted by like, you know, possible incest. But yeah, hear the mom out. He goes to do that. The mom explains she was abandoned by her parents and abused as a child as well, which caused her to enter an abusive relationship as an adult. I love that her son is yelling and interrupting how that doesn't justify what she did to him, because it's so true, and it's also how like a child who cut off their parent or like was abandoned by their parent would realistically react instead of just like instantly forgiving the parent. Anyway, it turns out the reason the mom never came back to him at the park that day is because she needed to get the money from the dad who had the bank info, and he tried to beat her up and she ended up killing him and was thrown into jail. The question I have here is, did no one come to find the child? No one? Okay, I guess it's like it matches in-universe CPS being useless, but anyway, the mom wanted to kill herself after coming out of jail because she, again, repeated what her parents did to her, abandoning her child. But she ultimately decided to live and open a restaurant so that she could proudly reunite with him. And all this happens 1 year before Uijin tries to kill himself at the beginning of this comic. Uijin finds himself relating to this, considering he wanted to kill himself because he thought he was abandoning his pregnant girlfriend and potential child back when he had debt. He comes to her and asks her for a serving of pork. Aw. Which is such a cool way of saying, like, I accept you back into my life. And Gangmak adds on that it's 2 servings. I love this man. After that wholesome family reunion, Uijin thanks Hyunju for the inspiration. Oh yeah, so Uijin and Hyunju, who by the way is now his girlfriend, I guess they've been dating for a while, go on a cool trip, and they're in the hotel room, and she asks him if he likes to be tied up. Ooh. So I think at this point, Hyunju is in the clear, because there's an explanation given for her interest in Uijin that's not money related, and her advice was beneficial to him. And there's too much backstory that makes her sympathetic here. But then it's revealed that her friend doesn't know her that well, which is a little weird, because her friend is like established to be Gangmak's homie, so maybe that's a bad sign. Anyway, I'm dying, by the way, because the scans that I read had like an overlaid meme reaction image between every sus panel. Anyway. Uh-oh. This doesn't look good. Okay, now we're back to Gangmak and the college friend. She explains Hyunju randomly approached her and somehow knows that Uijin invested in crypto, and that the college friend also invested in crypto. Her name is Hiju, and is actually richer than Uijin, based. But Gangmak now knows that something is up, and he has to save his homie. Meanwhile, back at the hotel, Hyunju asks Uijin if he put it in, and he's like, I'm tied up. And she says, no, in the coin. Fuck. Also, look at these faces. Oh my god. Uijin somehow gets out of this by telling her not to think too hard and invest at random for his strategy, which, to be fair, is what he did. I would not follow this. I would not recommend you follow this. But anyway, that's why the grandma next door makes more profit than you. She somehow buys this and leaves without untying him, by the way. So Gangmak just finds him tied up in the bed. Nice. And next episode, she comes back to thank him because she does this with Toby coin, a similar dupe of Doge, and it works. Hiju, the only person here who actually knows what she's doing, tells her to exit now, and Hyunju refuses. So we know that girl is coming back when Toby coin comes down. Gangmak also asks Hiju for real investment advice, and she refuses to tell him or he'll leave her. Queen. Anyway, he's so fine. Anyway, Gangmak's sister finally woke up from her coma, and Junghyun's mom, the bestie, on the other hand, collapses, which is very strange considering they felt bad for her and decided to pay. Oh yeah, so this guy's mom is still living in like, you know, a pretty small house, and she's also like dying of some terminal illness. So clearly this man did not go back to his mother and give her any money, despite like, I don't know, having a third of the total amount. The mom is now hospitalized. Her dying wish is to see her son, so of course Uijin and Gangmak want to find him, but Uijin decides to go alone because he wants Gangmak to be there for his sister. This is good, because now we can finally see the main character shine instead of Gangbak ex machina. The loan sharks have tracked Junghyun down, who is living like trash, and back on the coin. Yes, I'm using the word coin like the word drug here. Uijin confronts him about how he got the money for Toby Coin, which Jung-in also invested in and of course benefited from. And it turns out he went to see his mom and took the money that Uijin paid her to get better. Toby Coin starts falling on the dot and Jung-in decides to just die. Uijin persuades him to at least see his mom before doing so. When Jung-in finally sees his mom, she apologizes for not being able to give him the rich life. And finally, this man begs Uijin to pay for her hospital bill and even goes far enough to say he'll sell his organs to pay him back. Obviously, Uijin has already paid for this because our main character is a somewhat decent person, but from then on, even Jung-in lets go of the coin and begins the path to a decent life. Speaking of people still hooked on the coin though, Hyunju goes to Uijin's mom's restaurant to kill Uijin because she figures, of course, the son is going to be at the restaurant. But the mom recognizes her and is able to stop her. Hyunju later tries to sue for this but loses because there are no grounds and they never see her again. Kind of anticlimactic. Meanwhile, Gongwook decides to go on his revenge tour and track down the rich politician who was exposed for corruption a while ago and fled to the Philippines. Oh ho! Uijin questions if he can do it because Gongwook doesn't even know Spanish. Before I am left wondering if we're getting another 50 chapters of Gongwook adventures, we're hit with a time skip. Uijin now really misses Gangmok but has been looking after his little sister who seems to have a bit of a crush on him. How old is she? Nothing really happens. The moment she tries to tell him this, her brother comes back and he tries to kill Uijin, so everyone pulls up. Hiju and Gongwook are moving in together and he leaves because he has to shoot something else. Before they go, they ask each other if they're happy, and the answer is yes. And that's all. That's Loser Coin, the Sigma webtoon. It doesn't go out with a bang. He still fails he's trying to get a job as a civil servant and he failed his entry exam for the job and he still got no bitches. But this simple life is good and makes him happy. So overall, better read than I expected for something that I thought would just be a gimmick. The characters acted like realistically and it definitely made me laugh and made me sympathize with their difficulties. I think a problem many webtoons or many stories in general have is an abrupt ending. It feels like a lot of stuff is happening and it's difficult to ramp down the action when everything gets tied up into a neat bow. And I wanted spin-off Gangwon Adventures, so 6 out of 10, maybe 6.5 out of 10, with 5 being a truly average webtoon. I also expected more commentary on how money turns you evil, considering that's how the story started. We don't really get much background on Uijin and Jung-yeon's friendship, which probably would have led to more emotional payoff for the backstab. I also thought the webtoon might give us more information about crypto or finance, but I guess that would be kind of boring because those aren't the reasons most people read webtoons after all. Moral of the story is that in life you just need a good friend to be happy and potentially sell high. Thanks for watching.